supported the temperance movement. Immediately after incorporating in 1869, the Highland Park Building Company closed the 8 saloons operating here and became a dry community. The town of Highwood, just under a square mile in area, was platted in the late 1860s. The name was chosen because it was a high, wooded area. More visitors and residents meant more business opportunities, and a commercial district began to develop around Highland Park's railroad station. One of Highland Park's earliest residents was a Jewish merchant named Moses. In 1868, he built the town's first general store, the Northwestern, at the corner of First and Central, across the street from the Northwestern station. He sold a wide variety of merchandise. When steam trains needed a long stopover, passengers could use the delay to get out and go shopping. Moses soon had some competition. In 1870, James McDonald opened another general store at the corner of Central and St. John's in a Highland Park Building Company building. More residents meant more children and the need for a bigger school. In 1870, a larger Port Clinton school was built at the corner of Sheridan and Elm Place. Today, this is the site of Elm Place Middle School. In 1869, when the city was incorporated, there weren't enough residents for all the Protestant denominations to have separate churches. Instead, the Presbyterians, Baptists, and Episcopalians formed the Highland Park Religious Association and worshiped together in the hall above McDonald's store. That didn't last long. The Baptists left in 1871 to build their own church. The Presbyterians did the same later that year. The Presbyterian Church in Highland Park is associated with one of the great inventions of the 19th century. The inventor and entrepreneur Elisha Gray gave the first public demonstration of a telephone in 1874. Music was played in the minister's study, and to the audience's amazement, it was transmitted by wires and heard in the sanctuary. Gray filed a patent claim on February 14, 1876, but the paperwork was mishandled. After a lengthy court case, Alexander Graham Bell was granted the patent for the telephone. But Highland Park's Presbyterian Church was where the world's first phone call was made, and Elisha Gray made that call. The disaster of the Chicago fire in 1871 influenced Highland Park and Highwood's growth. Many people lost their homes and were interested in moving to the suburbs to start anew. In 1872, the town of Ravinia was platted as a separate town. 10 daily trains stopped in Highland Park. But a second disaster, the financial panic of 1873, slowed growth. This was a depression that lasted most of the decade and made it hard for the Highland Park Building Company to borrow money to build. But construction picked up in the 1880s. Both modest homes and more opulent homes were built. Highland Park had 3 faces. It was a market town serving the surrounding farms. It was a railroad suburb, as the Highland Park Building Company originally envisioned, and it was also a summer resort community. The Highland Park Building Company built this 125-room hotel in 1873. It served as a girls' school 9 months of the year and a hotel in the summer. Highland Park's commercial area was becoming a real downtown. Before Mills Meat Market opened its doors, people had to go to Lake Forest to find a butcher shop. Services of every sort were available, from shoe repair for horses to shoe repair for people. 2 banks started in 1899. The Erskine Bank was in the building that housed McDonald's store. Eventually, the 2 banks merged. A bank still stands on the Erskine Bank corner. The Brand family owned 2 businesses, This was their professional photography studio. They captured some of the earliest photo images of Highland Park. Although you might not recognize it as one of the city's oldest structures, the brand paint shop is still standing at the southwest corner of Central and 2nd. To accommodate the growing grade school population, Port Clinton School got an addition, and in 1886, another grade school was built. Fairview School was a two-room schoolhouse designed by William Boyington, the architect of Chicago's water tower. Not all children went to public school. From 1866, the Catholics used their church until a separate building was constructed in 1907. In the 1880s, this house at the foot of Central Avenue was a boys' boarding school. In 1888, Colonel Harlan Davidson started the Northwestern Military Academy in the old Highland Hall, the hotel and girls' school at Ravine Drive in St. John's. The building burnt to the ground just 6 months after it was purchased. Davidson and his students developed the first armored car, the forerunner of the tank. Highland Park didn't establish a volunteer fire department until after the fire at the military academy. Andrew Bach, the first fire chief, was a Highwood resident. Notice the belt he is wearing. His belt still exists and was recently donated to the Highland Park Historical Society. The fire station was part of the City Hall, built in 1888 at Green Bay and Central. The fire department had 2 horse-drawn fire wagons. The late 1800s were a time of transition. In reaction to Chicago's labor unrest, culminating in the Haymarket Riot of 1886, Chicago's business leaders, including Marshall Field, successfully lobbied for a military post in Highwood. The government bought 632 acres and stationed 84 cavalry under the command of Colonel Leicester. Construction at Fort Sheridan proceeded quickly under the direction of architects Halliburd and Roche. By 1891, 6 companies of infantry and 4 troops of cavalry were stationed there, about 1,000 people. In 1889, Sheridan Road was planned as a military road to connect Fort Sheridan to the city of Chicago. In some places, this involved new construction. In others, it used existing streets. In Highland Park, the old Port Clinton Road became Sheridan Road. This flower planter at Sheridan Road and Forest was built in 1896 as a horse trough to commemorate the completion of Sheridan Road. There is another just like it in downtown Evanston. Sheridan Road was one of the earliest paved roads. Along the way, the project transformed from a military road to a pleasure drive for the newfangled invention, the automobile. In 1890, the Highland Park Electric Light Company was lighting the city's homes and streets. Their building at Elm Place in St. John's is still standing. Highland Park got phone service in 1891. Elisha Gray didn't get the patent for telephones, but the company he founded, Western Electric, located just west of the tracks on Gray Avenue, made electric and telephone components. Electricity opened the door for clean electric rail service to compete with steam engines. And in 1896, the Bluff City Electric Street Railway, which started in Waukegan, was extended to Highland Park. The chosen route went down St. John's Avenue, right next to the Chicago and Northwestern tracks. Today, bicyclists and runners use a portion of this right-of-way. The Chicago and Milwaukee Railway advertised itself as the finest electric line in the world. Improved rail service and a booming economy brought more people and business opportunities to both Highland Park and Highwood. The Chicago and Milwaukee established its rail yard in Highwood. In 1895, Isaac Goldberg built a 3-story building across the street from his old store in downtown Highland Park. It had a theater on the 3rd floor. The theater had electric lights, a big safety improvement over gas. Highland Park continued to be a popular summer resort. The Hotel Moraine at Sheridan Road and Moraine Road opened in 1900. Built on 13 acres overlooking Lake Michigan, it had 140 rooms and later expanded to accommodate 1,000 guests. Given that the city's population before the First World War was less than 5,000 people, the Hotel Moraine was a big deal. People enjoyed the lake breezes on the screened porch and paths along the lake and through the ravines. The hotel is gone, but visitors can still enjoy the path and the bridges going down to the lake at Moraine Park. Not everyone stayed in a hotel to enjoy Highland Park as a summer resort. Some rented cottages, and some had second homes. In 1900, 4 German Jewish families decided to build a compound of summer homes they called Wildwood. Wildwood started a trend. Other Chicago Jewish families followed and eventually settled in Highland Park. Over the years, Highland Park had some residents who, like Hawkins, Cleveland, and French, were passionate about preserving the beauty of our natural surroundings. Sylvester Millard and his son Everett shared this passion. In 1893, William Boyington designed this log mansion overlooking Lake Michigan for the Millards. He named it Ravine Lodge. When the house was built, the access was off of Ravine Drive with a private bridge over the ravine. Today, the house has an address on Sylvester Place. But Millard realized that since so many trees had been cut down, the city's ravines were threatened by erosion. He and his neighbor, McGregor Adams, personally took on the job of replanting the ravines. Sylvester and Everett Millard introduced the sport of golf to Highland Park. In 1896, Everett was a Harvard undergraduate. He told his father how popular golf was on the East Coast. A group of golf enthusiasts bought 95 acres of farmland west of Green Bay Road from the Stupi family. The course opened in 1897 as Exmoor Country Club with William Alexander as president. William Alexander's wife was also an avid golfer, and Exmoor was the first country club in the Chicago area to allow women to play. Exmoor started a trend. Eventually, there would be 5 more golf courses in town: Old Elm, Highland Park, Sunset Valley, Northmoor, and Bobolink. The golf courses made Highland Park even more attractive. In 1907, the Chicago Tribune wrote, "Highland Park has a distinct feeling of neighborliness such as used to prevail in the quiet village of Chicago in the days before the fire. Wives play golf with their husbands." In addition to starting a golf club, Everett